Oh, there's one. Oh gosh. Hey everyone, James Niggemeyer here. I'm out on the lake and it's the fall of the year, so I thought it'd be a great time to do a quick video on the old jerkbait. It's well known to be a great bait this time of year because a lot of times what you'll have is you'll have the shad actually suspend a bunch. They'll be in the creeks, they'll be on the main lake, they'll be on a lot of different places. And when you fish this bait, it suspends a bunch. It definitely doesn't go down to the bottom, and it's in that zone where the bait fish seem to be. So generally less than 10 foot of water is a great place to look for those fish that'll be susceptible to a jerkbait. And I wanted to just go over some quick things that I think have helped me over the years catch fish and put fish in the boat with a jerkbait. So with that, let's get right into it. When I fish jerkbaits, I generally fish a Lew's Custom Pro Speed Stick, 6'9" to 7 foot in length, medium to medium heavy. Depending upon which model it is, this is actually not the one I generally use for jerkbaits. This one's a 6'9", but it is a medium heavy action and it's fast, and that's kind of what I like. I generally like a tip that bends about 20 to 30% into the blank like that. Probably, sometimes I like an extra fast too, but basically a fast to extra fast tip and a shorter than 7 foot or shorter. Probably up to like a 6'7", something like that in that length. And the reason why is because when you're fishing that jerkbait and you're twitching it like that, you don't want to be hitting the top of the water. You want a rod that's manageable for that jerking style action, and a shorter length and rod works really well for that. Let's see if we can catch some. I generally start out with kind of I crank it down a few cranks, and then I jerk, pause. That's generally where I start to try to figure out what the fish like. Jerk, pause. Jerk, pause. And I just continue with that kind of a cadence. Jerk, pause. And I'll switch it up every now and again, trying different things. But I generally start with that jerk, pause to see if the fish like that kind of a presentation. And so it's jerk, pause. I didn't crank it down that far. We're only in 4.5 feet of water, so I don't want it just digging into the bottom very much or at all. So I'm jerk, pause, jerk, pause. And then sometimes my pause length will increase in the number of seconds that I allow it to sit there. For the most part, you want it to do that erratic action, like it's either injured or that kind of walk the dog, left, right, up, down type of action, so that it draws a reaction strike. It's kind of that evasive maneuver of a bait fish trying to get away. This water's a little bit on its, I still have about 1.5 feet of visibility, and up there along the bank, it's actually looks like it's a little bit clear, but it's got a decent amount of stain, but it's not too dirty where you can't catch fish on a jerkbait. But we're going to give it a chance to see if we can catch some on it. So the first thing I want to do when I'm fishing a jerkbait is identify an area where I have bait fish. And I've noticed that there are some bait fish in this area and some fish I've graphed on the screen. But the biggest thing that I found that's almost as important as the bait fish presence is this whole bank here is a creek channel swing bank. You can kind of see it right there. It kind of runs right into this bank here, this little creek channel. And so I'm sitting over 10 feet of water, and just right over there, it was like 5. So the creek runs up against this bank, and then it comes off into the main lake here. So right there is kind of a flat, and then it drops off, and we're having this deep water right through here. So what we're trying to do is get to an area that has got some bait fish, and that might actually have some bass, pursuing that bait fish in the area that maybe are a little bit suspended under the bait or in and around those bluff type banks or creek channel banks or more vertical banks, especially as you go into the fall. And from the fall into the winter, that becomes even more important. So we're just trying to fish this jerkbait in a way that looks like dead or dying shad, or shad trying to evade being eaten by some sort of predator fish. So we're just going to kind of work through here and figure out what cadence the fish like. If is it a jerk pause, is it just continually jerking like this, or is it jerk and just let it sit there? They'll kind of let you know when you get around them. They'll let you know what retrieve speed they like and how they want it. And sometimes they want it just to pull, just kind of pulling like this. Sometimes they want it really violent. You're just gonna have to play with it a little bit to see what those fish want. Sometimes you need to really parallel these steeper type banks like this so that the bait stays kind of closer to that steeper bank where the fish are kind of relating to the actual structure part of things, instead of, and sometimes they'll be suspended over the actual creek channel. So you kind of have to figure out what it is that they want to do. The water temperature is 60 degrees, so it's not like it's really cold, so I can kind of fish it a little faster. Oh, there's one. Oh gosh. I think he came off that lay down. I just twitched it a couple times. He must have come right off of that lay down. Boy, that just worked out like a charm. He's just wearing it. He's got it like a cigar. There's a nice one on the old jerkbait. I always like when I see them eat it, where they get either the front hook or the back hook in their mouth as opposed to the tail hook. That means that fish wanted it. So that's a definite sign that the jerkbait is a great presentation for the way the fish are positioned on this given day. Nice chunky, say 2.5 pounder, maybe better. Nice fish. Put her back. Let's see if we can get another one right there. Sometimes there'll be multiple ones on that lay down. You can see that lay down on the bank. It's perfect to deal because now you have a structural element and cover to kind of sweeten it as it goes into a point, and this creek channel kind of comes off the end. It's just such a natural spot. You can feel it running into the bottom there. And I kind of want it not running into the bottom, but just kind of over the bottom. I mean, traditionally, that's how they want it. I always try to remain open-minded, but traditionally, they kind of want to come up on a jerkbait, not down on it. So definitely the fact that I'm around this structural element is key with the jerkbait. And I think it's key with any presentation to try to figure out what structure the fish are utilizing in order to set up for ambushing bait or prey. So that's always a good key. But when it comes to jerk baiting, especially in the fall, it seems like they're always relating close to that creek channel, either in a creek or on the main lake or wherever they are. Vertical type bank or vertical type structure where they can slide up or slide down or run horizontal till they get to a flat, or where it junctions with some other type of area in which to feed, is always key. I like to try to hit my jerkbait on a slack line. When I do the twitching, it's hitting it on a slack line so that it really gives it that erratic action. Sometimes I pull it on a direct taut line, but I like that hitting it on a slack, semi-slack line gives it more action. There's one. On the jerkbait. Look at that little belly, fatten up with shad. Don't jump on me. This guy is your typical fish just moving around with the bait balls this time of the year in the fall. You'll see a lot of these fish that are kind of a year or so old, and they're just fattening up for the, look, it's like there's not a blemish on that fish, but came up for that jerkbait. All right. So just running that twitch pause, kind of in the mouth of this little bay right here. It's not very deep, it's only like 8 feet of water, but there must be some sort of cover out there that held that fish. Either that or he's following the bait around. Again, just that twitch pause retrieve. Twitch pause. Twitch pause. Twitch pause. And actually, I just went to go twitch it again, and he was just on there. Seeing some bait fish on the graph there, and that's what I like to see. I'm in about 8 foot of water, 8.5 feet of water, and there's just some balls of bait fish in here. Oh, there it is. Little guy. I hit him and he swam right at me, so I had a slack line. I didn't know what was wrong with it, but another one on the jerkbait. Notice there were some fish on the graph, and fish, I mean fish like bait fish on the graph, and so that's always a good sign. I see some bait fish under the boat. Doesn't mean there's not fish around in the general vicinity. All right. Just kind of throwing this jerkbait in and around the mouth of this little bay, right around the mouth where it dumps into this main lake portion here. Ideal spot here where we're off the bank a ways and almost a little bit further than a cast, and you're seeing bait fish off the bank a little bit. There's one. Little guy. Jerkbait catches them of all sizes. Whoops. It looks like he's had a better day. Got a little bit of funk on him. So that was just a quick video on jerkbait fishing, how I kind of like to fish it. The main thing you gotta remember is try to figure out what cadence they like the bait to be moving in. Do they want it, you know, a long pause or a shorter pause? Do they want you to pause at all? Those types of things are super important as far as figuring out how to trigger those fish to bite. When it comes to jerkbaits, I basically use 3 different types, and these are all Strike King jerkbaits. This is a Strike King KVD, I believe it's called the J300, and this is the 200. I think it's 4 3/4, and this is 4 1/2. But basically, the important thing to remember is this is a 3-hook. 3-hook jerkbait is what I throw the majority of the time. Every now and again, if the bait fish is small, I may throw a 2-hook one, or if they're just swiping at that one, I may go with a 2-hook one. And then I don't throw a deep much, but that KVD deep jerkbait, when the water's deeper, say deeper than 10 feet of water, then that's what I'm gonna go to. If you follow my channel for any length of time, you know I like to keep things simple. And that's just a simple primer on jerkbait fishing as it relates to jerkbait fishing as a whole, but also as it relates to fishing jerkbaits in the fall. I hope you guys like this video. If you do, give me a thumbs up and drop a comment. If you know somebody that you think might get something out of this video, go ahead and share it on your social media page. That's really the best way for me to grow this channel. I appreciate all of you for watching. If you haven't already subscribed, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and that way you won't miss any videos. I'm posting every Wednesday and Saturday night. And thanks for watching, and until next time, good fishing.